Hello, gentlemen. Jeff Sanchez, children's rights advocate here again. This comes from a brilliant sociologist named Vilar, who females tried to kill back in the 70s. The universe is male. Man, unlike a woman, is beautiful because man, unlike a woman, is a thinking creature. This means man has a thirst for knowledge. He wants to know what the world around him looks like and how it functions. Man thinks. He draws conclusions from the data he encounters. Man is creative. He makes something new out of the information achieved by the above process. Man is sensitive. As a result, his exceptionally wide multidimensional emotional scale, he not only registers the commonplace in the graduations, but he creates and discovers new emotional values and makes them accessible to others through sensible descriptions or recreates them as an artist. All of the qualities of man, his curiosity is certainly the most impressive. This curiosity differs basically from that of women. Women takes interest only in subjects that have immediate personal usefulness to her. With his many gifts, man would be ideally suited both mentally and physically to lead a life both fulfilled and free. Instead, he chooses to become a slave, placing his many discoveries at the service of those who are incapable of creating themselves, at the service of mankind, man's own synonym for woman, and the children of these women. How paradoxical that the very sex which is capable of leading a life as nearly perfect as possible is prepared to give it up, to offer it to the female sex, which is not interested in such perfection. We have grown so accustomed to the blunted mechanism of one-sided exploitation of one group of human beings by a parasitic cliche that all of our morals have been completely perverted. Without really giving the matter any thought, we've considered the male sex as a sort of Sisyphus. He has come into the world to learn, to work, and to father children. His sons, in turn, will learn to work and produce children. So it will continue forever. It has become almost impossible to think why else men should be here. If a young man gets married, starts a family, and spends the rest of his life working at a soul-destroying job, he is held up as an example of virtue and responsibility. The other type of man, living for himself, working only for himself, doing first one thing and then another simply because he enjoys it and because he has to keep only himself, sleeping where and when he wants, and facing women when he meets her on equal terms, and not as a million slaves, is rejected by society. The free, unshackled man has no place in its midst. Conform or be cast out. How depressing it is to see men year after year betraying all they were born to do. New worlds could be discovered. Worlds one hardly even dreams of could be opened by the mind, strength, and intelligence of men. Things to make life fuller and richer, their own life, that is, of which women are ignorant, and much more worthwhile could be developed. All things could be done by men. Instead, they forsake all these tremendous potentials and permit their minds and their bodies to be shunned into sidings to serve the repulsively primitive needs of women. Man has the key to every mystery of the universe in his hands, but he ignores it. He lowers himself to the level of woman and initiates himself into her favor. Oh, fuck. With his mind, his strength, and his imagination, all intended for the creation of new worlds, he opts instead for the preservation and improvement of the old. Wow. We have absolutely no idea what the world will be like if men use their intelligence and imagination instead of wasting it. Unfortunately, men who are capable and willing to work and think in every other field of research have declared everything concerning women taboo. What is worse is that this taboo has always been so effective that it's no longer recognized as such. Without thinking, a man fights women's wars, fathers women's children, and constructs women's towns. women just sit back and get lazier and dumber and more demanding. And at the same time, richer, a primitive but effective system of insurance policies for marriage, divorce, inheritance, widow, old age, and life insurance. This increasing wealth, for example, in the US, half of the total private capital is in the hands of women. Yet, the number of women working has constantly decreased over the last decade. The situation is not much different in industrial Europe at this time. Women have complete psychological control over men. It will not be long before they have material control as well. Hope this makes things more clear. Take care.